Welcome to my channel. Roll the intro. Hello, my friend. My name is Alexander Richter. I'm a technical director for visual effects, animation, and games, who was fortunate enough to work on projects like Avatar 2, Monsters at Work, and the Amazing World of Gumball at world-renowned companies like Weta Digital, Framestore, and Mackevision. Before doing any of that, I was actually born in Kazakhstan and moved early in my school years to Germany. My first major was actually law, and I planned to become a media lawyer until the reality of the job hit me. So I switched to media computer science, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree. Afterwards, I studied technical directing at the world-renowned Film Academy Baden-Württemberg and had the pleasure to work on a handful of amazing projects and even won the VES Award 2017 with my contribution to the short VFX film Breaking Point. After getting my diploma, I started to work all around the world, from Hamburg, London, Vienna, Montreal, Montpellier, and Wellington. This also included a number of speaking events and teaching opportunities at Artifix and CG Master Academy. Hello everyone. Welcome. Starting here. Welcome to our very first stream. This is the first time for us. We're doing this YouTube live. We did live TD meetups before, but this one is the first time we do this in that section. And we start with how we started this channel by looking into Python. Today we look into Python for Blender. So the idea of the stream is obviously, first one, we can have a more interactive way of working. You have the chat. We welcome you to write things into the chat over the time. We do also like Q&As, and we jump between back and forth. So if you have, we can we can jump to the chat if necessary, and we can do a conversation and stuff like that. So the idea of every stream we do in the future, one of them will be Python streams. We will do more in the future. We do TD meetups in the future on YouTube Live, but I'm also planning to do mentoring, job application, visual effects, animation, and games mentoring, basically. But the idea is that it's more interactive, it's more live, it feels more natural. So we have the space between highly edited and created videos and these live videos, and try to balance them out. Since this is also the first streams that we will do, there will be some time to kind of figure things out, how things work. Technical issues are unavoidable. So let us know how things are working. If you have any problems, let us know in the chat. And so if there's a sound issue or anything, let us know so we can improve that part as well. Okay, that was the preamble. Let's dive into what we are planning to do today. So we are looking into Python for Blender. This is a masterclass that was asked for a few years now. As you maybe know, I'm doing Python masterclasses in visual effects, animation, and games. I did Maya, Max, Houdini, Nuke, and Blender was one of the kind of software that I wanted to cover, and people were asking me to do that. So I thought it's a great idea. How about we jump into Blender, first time, never tried, and together we figure out just the basics, how to code in Blender in the beginning. And so this is an introduction live stream, and I probably know as much as you, or you know maybe even more than I do. So, okay, what's the background of today's stream? So basically, I personally never used Blender, so I'm not a Blender user. I'm familiar with Maya, 3ds Max, Houdini, Nuke. Blender I opened once or twice, so will definitely be a lot of figuring out how this works. I never coded in Blender. Again, same thing. In other DCCs, yes, Blender never. But I am a pipeline technical director, and I made master classes for Python for Maya, Python for 3ds Max, Python for Houdini, and Python for Nuke. And I'm planning to do a Python for Blender next year, so you can also learn how to do this there. The idea is basically how can we dive into something new, like Blender, like any software, Mari, whatever software you're planning to dive into, and how can we learn Python, how can we learn Python in the software, and so on. So who is it for? The stream for today is for Blender artists interested in coding and automation, for Python developer that are new to Blender, like me, for example, curious people who want to start coding in Blender. It's also about, you know, how intuitive is Blender for a new user, since I am a new user. So if you're interested in learning maybe Blender as an artist, as a technical director, this is also like a little bit a touch base, but especially we will look into how intuitive is Blender with coding and Python specifically. So we don't have to achieve all of them, but at least the first few I definitely want to do today. Very simple goals, nothing crazy. So first one is like how find and open Blender script editor. I don't think that is too difficult. Simple print hello Blender. Call Python for Blender API. So how can we access the Blender Python code? Then we start to do some coding. That's basically how create and delete objects and nodes, let's say a cube or a sphere or something like that. How do we import and export objects maybe? Get and set and call attributes to another. You know, we want to know what's the scale, what's the rotation, and so on. And then save and load as always. And afterwards we all join the Python for Blender masterclass. So that's the goal for today. If we have achieved them, and that's it. So again, in the meantime, feel free to write if you have questions, comments, or something. Again, I'll be completely new. Maybe you are more familiar with Blender, so feel free to help me out if I don't find something. This will be improvisational, so we will definitely find that out. But I also want to share to everyone, like, you know, if you watch sometimes these tutorials or whatever, it looks very smooth. People know so much. They're very deliberative and so on, but I think it's sometimes nice to see that if you start any Python, Blender, Maya skill, whatever, it's always about, you know, it takes time, it's figuring out and so on. So this is also part of this, we figuring it out together and see how this works basically. Okay, I pre-installed Blender already, but I didn't do anything in it, so this is a fresh copy. And let's see how this goes. So this is our first Python for Blender, diving into first time opened, and let's go through the steps one by one. So what do we want to achieve first? Okay, the first thing, we want to stay, you know, constructive. So I would say generally before you do anything, you should always, you know, just see the environment. So this is Blender. If you're familiar, nothing new. If you're not familiar, you're like me, you need to figure things out. So generally speaking, everything looks very much the same. Any DCC software, you have the timeline at the bottom, you have some menu items. It seems to be that the workspaces here are next to the menu. So here, where it's normally the second line, we have the, I would call it outliner, maybe it's called differently in Blender. Then the attribute editors, and then a few extra buttons. Very, very straightforward. So I think the overall view is pretty much the same as we do it. It's middle mouse for rotation. Okay, right click. Okay, select. Definitely not. Is it? It looks like it's shortcuts are kind of similar. Nah, doesn't look like it. Yeah. Okay, doesn't matter. We are not here for the 3D part. We are more for the scripting part. Okay, let's dive into. Just hold right click and shift L and then lightly tap the spacebar 4 times. Oh my god. Right click and shift L. Oh. Is it like... What should happen? What should happen if I just hold right click, okay, and shift L? So if I do both, okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the? Now I have the. Oh, okay, GRST Ah, nice. Cool. Yeah, that was very, very new. Okay, cool. That's interesting. But it was working. So you can actually, it's is it? Yeah, it's shift space. Seems. Oh. Is it shift space? Yeah. Oh yeah, shift and space. Okay, good to know. But right click. Okay, yeah, that's a part of it. Again, this is also even also very important in general. When you do TD work, you don't need to be an expert in the software. Again, this is also a great example of you should be bit familiar. So when I will be working on the masterclass, I will definitely get more familiar with Blender because it's important. But you don't have to be an expert in the software to code in the software. The first tools I built in Nuke with Python, I barely knew what like a write node is. So at the same time, a lot of the things are basically the same. You know, it's all the same rotation, scale, attributes, and so on nodes. So that's also the important part at the end of the day. Okay, so let's dive in the first one. So find and open Blender script editor. That's probably, hopefully, relatively easy. So we can see here, active workspace scripting. Okay. That looks like the script editor. Is it the script? Then we can write. Okay, so this looks like this is the script editor, or at least the file editor, because I can add new files here, text new here, and this looks like the console. So this looks like something we can type in. So we have two options to add it, and we have the viewport here. Okay, so it looks like that is it. Nothing crazy. Super straightforward, but that's not the goal here. The goal is to go step by step by step again, and this you can apply to every software. It doesn't matter if you do this in you know, Nuke, Blender, Houdini. It's basically, this is how I would approach this. I've changed all my shortcuts to match a hybrid of Maya Max coming from a Softimage background. It should be all universal. Absolutely. If I would use a Blender, I would definitely change, you know, what is it, QVER or VERT, I think was it. So the one that I'm familiar with also in Maya, for example. That would definitely change a few of the keys. That's important. Okay, the next one is simple thing. Print Hello Blender in Blender. That sounds easy. So let's try first use the console. If you're not familiar, this is the same as this one. So we can basically do the same. If we would type in Python, we can basically also do it hello Windows, and then we get the print out here. This and this, you can see here, it's also Python Interactive Console. This is the command prompt from Windows, so it's not 100% the same, but basically it's the same thing. Okay, so can I make it bigger? Yes. So control mouse wheel, I can zoom in and zoom this in and out. That's great. Very typical. Same, by the way, as in Maya. If we go here, control mouse wheel, we can zoom in the code and the printout. Also, that's why one of the things I want to do, I want to compare a little bit, because that can help you also. And the other thing I want to do is basically I want to show you that all software is the same, or if you speak the same language. Just like English. You can speak English in Italy, you can speak English in Thailand. Yes, there are accents, there are slight differences, you know, less or more, but at the end of the day, it's still English in every country, independent of dialect or whatever. Okay, so first goal, hello Blender. Let's see if this works. Return. It's too easy, huh? But that's the beginning. That's always, should be always like this. Should not be too complicated. Definitely, let's try do the same thing here using, what is text? So this is, for example, let's dive one level deeper. So what is this exactly? So I'm not sure. Let's see if we can execute. Oh, so small. Okay, so how do we execute here? Huh. Oh, no, there's a Python console. This is probably the run script. That work? Welcome to the situation that I was. So yeah, we have here a few buttons. So let's give it a moment. So if we that's one of the situations that you would encounter, and that's how I would react to this. We jump to some conclusion like this. This looks like something we can type in. We try something, it doesn't work. So if this happens to me, I stop and go a step back. So, okay, this seems not to work. This is not something is going, but I'm not sure what is going. So I'm a little bit confused. So what I would do now is I go a step back and try to understand what I'm looking at. So this looks like the script editor here, because obviously you should not code in the console. That's a nightmare. And something is going executed here, but I don't know what, but I cannot see it here in the console for now. So let's see about that one. I saw a run script for a second. Window toggle system console. Okay. Window toggle system console. Oh my god. Thanks for this tip. This is, by the way, great. Like, I love this. Like, this, you guys helping me understand Blender. But at the end of the day, you're also helping everyone who's interested to Blender to go through this. Again, this is also the idea to show that, yeah, you know, even if you have 10 years of experience with Python in software, you still need to start at the beginning. Okay, so this is another console. What the F? Why is that not the same console? View language Python. Okay, not sure if that makes a difference. Execute. No, I also have to use this console. Okay, I would recommend just learning the Blender shortcuts. It's quite different from other DCCs. I think if you try to bring your usual workflow shortcuts, and you're gonna make your life difficult. Yeah, I think it's this like mixture. Sometimes things like shortcuts or workflows can be better. Sometimes it's better to kind of bring some of that. Like, I think some workflows are better in Maya than they are in Blender. Some workflows are better in Blender than in Maya. It really depends also what you do, which department you are. So same thing for script editors. For example, there's a few things like the default run for this is F5. I've never used F5 since I used HTML. So since I'm used Sublime Text, I'm used to Control B, like build. And so, for example, this is also something I would change because I'm just used to Control B, and everyone who's using Sublime is used to Control B. So I think it's fine to blend a little bit, but obviously it's not always recommended to completely change everything about Blender to Maya or Houdini or wherever you come from, because then you will encounter certain workflows not be optimized for that. I don't like this. This is horrible. Why is this like this? So I'm wondering why I have to have these secondary window, because I don't think this is optimal. I want it to be, you know, everything in one view, but this is obviously what we wanted to do. So our goal was to print Hello Blender. We did that in the console, and we did it in the script that we executed here. So that is the first step. Again, we always have to also stay what we want to achieve. So this is achieved. The question, and that is basically the question for the workflow, is obviously this is not optimal. This also, you cannot dock it. That would be nice. So the question, if there is maybe a way to connect this. This is the same problem you have a little bit with Houdini. It also has a separate console or a separate output window. So again, there's some similarities I can see here, but it would be nice because other software like VES Max, they allow you to express it in here. So let's dive quickly into this. What can we see here? Sidebar. Oh, okay. Anything interesting? Toggle maximum area. Nothing interesting here. Save. So usually this is a full-blown script editor. Usually you can open files in here. So you can save this as a file. So it's not just a local thing. It's literally, you can, like, for now, this is a temporary file. This will be saved somewhere in the Blender folder structure. It's a temp file, this specific one. But obviously we can either save this or open another file and use this here. So at the end of the day, it's no different to the editor here at the end of the day, the Visual Studio Code, for example. So just be aware that this is a real file. This really exists. So let's say for some reason you missed this or whatever, there's a chance that you can recover this file at the end of the day. Okay, the indent, toggle, convert to spaces. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Background job, bachelor sport, custom notes. Okay, wow. What are the templates? But what kind of gizmo, simple external script stop custom? Okay. Yeah, so templates for if you want to do certain things, you can already use one of these. You know, you want a gizmo operator, boom, bada bing. Not bad. This is new. I'm pretty sure I've never seen this before. This is really cool, actually. Obviously overwhelming. If you are new to Python or new to Blender in Python, then this is too much maybe. But obviously, you know, what I love about templates in general like this, they're really great for beginning if you are planning to do something. Let's say you want to do a batch exporter or something. Before you start coding anything, just use this one, look at how it is written, and then, you know, change it wherever you must, but you suddenly know, oh, this is how it's done. Oh, this is how this is done. So it's like templates like this, similar to forum, is always like helpful to, you know, give a starting point. So I would always use this as a starting point to understand certain actions, you know, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? Anything interesting here? Yeah. So, okay, nice. Okay, this is great so far. Is there anything else? Yep. Okay, that is so far we go. So what is the next goal? Again, if this doesn't have to be today, but if there is a way to fix this part, to integrate it, or put the console as the, because what happens is if we have something like this here, it's basically a signal, and this signal has to go somewhere. And at this moment, it doesn't go over there, it goes here, which is fine, I guess, but yeah, I like it if it's like, you know, one thing. Also, basically, this console becomes useless if we code in here, as far as I can see. But again, hypothetical. I'm not we are figuring this out as well at the moment. I just want to say this is great, as one thinks that most teaching experience give you its pitfalls and how to learn, so you know how to ask the questions you need. Shared classrooming sort of thing. Yes, it is. Again, this will be obviously much lower than any of my courses or something, but the idea is, again, also to show that no one is born, you know, figuring things out. Everyone clicked through the same things. Like everything I'm doing now, obviously I have the background, so I can always compare and draw from other DCCs in Python. But this is actually how I would approach this. When I did Python for Houdini, this is exactly how I did things. I just tried things out. I was not satisfied with things, so I find workarounds and so on. Okay, so far this is good enough. You know, if there is, this is not something we need to figure out now. But yeah, this is one of the things that I would definitely keep an eye on, of how to optimize the workflow, because yeah, it feels like a little bit wonky. But let's continue. So, call Python for Blender API. So, hopefully some of you, if you are familiar with Python, this API is something you know. If you're not familiar with Python, API is maybe something you don't know. So, API is an acronym, and is for everyone who joined my courses. They know what it means. It means, I have to draw with my mouse, so maybe it means application programming interface. This is more difficult than it looks like. Programming interface. So the idea is basically the application in our case is Blender. And the programming language is Python, and the interface is some kind of module or something that we can access. So application interface is, how do I code using Python in Blender? What do I need? And that is the application interface. And in Python, it's a .py file. There is a .py file that has Python code in it that we can call. And with that, we can call anything in Blender. That's the same thing in Maya. So for example, if we look in Maya, if we want to access the API of Maya, we have to access maya.cmds. So there's Maya and there's this module or class cmds. And so in the future, if we want to do anything, we say cmds delete, for example, or something like that. Was sphere a thing? Maybe. It is a thing, yes. Yeah. So if we want to create a sphere in Maya, we just say cmds sphere. And so with this import, we imported a file that is the interaction. So again, API application is Maya, programming is Python, interface is the Python module that we use, in this case, the CMDS here. So the same we have to apply in Nuke. Programming interface. So by the way, you already know one interface. You know another interface, the GUI, the graphical user interface. So instead of having programming application interface, we have a window with buttons and so on for the user, and the interface is it connects the window and the buttons connect with the functionality of the software. So a visual representation of code. That's a graphical user interface. An API is an application programming interface. It connects the application with the programming, in this case, Python. So I have no idea how to do that. So there's obviously multiple things. It's not intuitive, so you cannot know particularly how to do anything like this. I see here a few things going on. BPY, Blender Python, maybe. So there's a few things how I would approach this. So first thing, we need to figure out what's the API for Blender, which at the end of the day is what module do we have to import to use Blender. That's it. It's not nothing crazy. So we need to have like an import of something. In Maya, it's maya.cmds. In Houdini, it's import how, Houdini, basically Houdini, but the first three letters. It was originally in Max Plus was the original, and now it's PyMXS in Max, and in Nuke it's import Nuke. So the question is, what is it in Blender? So if we look here, we have a few hints. This seems to be the hint. So there's multiple ways. So I would see this. Let's try this one. Maybe one of these is it. The other one would be I found out I have some templates. So I can check out if one of the imports in the templates is something I can use. And third, just simply, nothing crazy. We just use Google. Blender API. Nothing crazy. So you don't have to overdo it completely. We can just go via Google and then just go like this. So it's nothing. You don't have to kind of like, oh, this is so complicated. No, we just look for the API and then we start doing that. So we have 3 options. So if we look here, accessing data blocks, we can already see BPY seems to be the big module or class that we use for everything in Blender, more or less. This is also coming here, and let's just try one of the templates to see what will happen there. What's the most normal thing? Good question. Operator file, maybe. Yeah, we can see here in the beginning, import BPY. It seems to be the Blender thing. So BPY seems to be the Blender thing. There is, as you can see here and here, there is a few variation of it. Besides BPY data, there is also underscore sometimes, and the GPU and BLF and stuff like that that we can use. But BPY seems to be the big one, as we can see here at the bottom. Awesome. That's it. So, okay, BPY. And if we execute this, we should not get an issue, and we don't get an issue. Let's change the printout, import Blender API, execute, because if this is not existing, then we wouldn't have a crash. Okay, what we can also do, we can print it out. Okay, see, that's this jumping around. And here we go. So import Blender API module BPY from C scripts module BPY init. Yep. So that's it. That is the super secret here. You want to use Python accessing Blender, import BPY. Nothing crazy. None of these is super complicated. So that is the thing. So call Python for Blender API. Yep. So it is BPY Blender Pi. Cool. That's it. Okay, next one. By the way, if you have any questions, comments, or something, just let me know. Always happy to address them. So we can just have, so far we had a few comments helpful, especially in Blender, as I have to figure that out myself. But yeah, so yeah, this is how we go so far. So call Python. So create and delete an object, a node, like anything, like, like cube, sphere, all the basic stuff. This is the beginning, how to create something, how to add something to the scene. Let me delete. Can I delete this? Did I crash Blender when I delete the cube? Is it a sin in Blender to delete the cube? Because it looks like it doesn't like it. Okay. I just deleted the cube. I don't know that. I didn't know that would lead to a chain reaction here. Okay, Blender. Don't die on me. Yeah, great. So first crash, also very normal. I think the most crashes I had during development and writing was VES Max. Python crashes, likes to crash in there. So, yep. Okay, first crash. Houdini was the second most, to be fair. So, okay, let's go back. I'm now questioning if I can't even delete the. I can't delete. Okay, it was not me deleting the cube. I just wanted to have a clean scene, but I didn't know it will end up in devastation. Okay, let's try this again. Create a object, let's say. And then import, we learned this already, BPY. By the way, how's everything regarding the technical of the stream? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is it stuttering somehow? Everything okay? Works fine? Because this is the first time we do this, and sometimes it can be a little bit more. Houdini is brutal with crashes when trying to script in with Python. Newer versions are getting a little bit better, but not too much. If Max doesn't crash at least once a day, you're doing something wrong. Stream quality is good, all good, great. Okay, yeah. I definitely had like I'm a little bit spoiled with Maya. I think Maya is relatively stable in general. So Houdini, I had more crash, especially when I was using the expressions. Houdini for me, expressions was very unstable. So I had a lot of problems there. There is one problem that you can have in Houdini is when you use the script editor and you forget that when you save the file, it is also saved in the script editor. The problem is if you reopen the file, the script editor will be also activated at the same time. And let's say you had tested an opening or something bigger in there. So you open the file, the script editor will be executed, and then maybe another file will be opened or something like that. And that can be an infinite loop, actually. A file opens, another file opens, another. So that was weird. And the expression editor, I had every time sometimes if I want to edit the expression editor, it just crashed. So I had this kind of problem, especially if I think if I opened a secondary window. So yeah, Max was super unstable when it comes to kind of the user setup stuff. When you do startup, when you work with startups in Max, and let's say you want to manipulate the menu, the resolution, like when Max starts, like there are certain setups you want to do. This is if it's not 100% correct, it can happen that Max just kills itself. Where, for example, in Maya, it will just say, hey, there's a problem, here's an error, or nothing will happen. And it will just start randomly without the changes. Max, usually, if you let's say you want to make a menu that appears when you start Max, usually if there is an error in your coding or something is not 100% correct, it will just crash during start. So yeah, slightly unstable a little bit. So yeah, definitely cube deletion seems to be the weakness in Blender. So let's avoid that one in the future. Okay, back to the thing. We are back to I killed my system console. This is also something we can check out, because in some DCCs like Maya or Max, we get actually feedback when we do something. So in Maya, let me show you the example. So the cool part is in Maya, if I take this and if I delete this, I get there's too much stuff going on. Echo. Oh yeah, this has to die. Okay, let's try again. Here we can see delete seems to be not the greatest thing. Let's try something else. Yeah. So for example, let's say we created a camera. We can see a few things. So we created the camera manually. You know, we went to create. Went to, where is it? The camera, press this, cool. And then what was really cool in Max and Maya, you get the Mel code. In Max, you get the Max script code. And you can use this as a template. Obviously, this is not Python code, but it is like an 80-90% thing. You see the name of camera is camera. The values of, for example, center of interest is center of interest in camel case, and so on and so forth. So, okay. These are all the potential things that I can modify that. So it's a really, really helpful thing. This is also not particular for today, but this is also something I would look into if Blender has an ecosystem, meaning if I create something like a cube or something, will it give me echo? Like if I would add a camera, I don't know, did I add a, do I have to drag it? Yeah. If I add a camera, do I have the code somewhere? Don't think so. So sometimes there is something like this. Maybe I have to toggle it as well. So this is also one of the things I would, maybe not today, but I would generally look into, because it can be super helpful coding. Because what you can do is you can manually do all the actions, look at the printouts, and then use that as the start for your own script. Super, super powerful. Okay, but we want to create an object. So the question is how? What I would do usually, I would just do something like this. I have no idea if this works. We can just try. It doesn't work. This is super small. Oh, okay, here. Oh, oh, there are no sides. Okay, now I see. This one I want. Okay. So, Python traceback. This is very important. One of the keys of good coding is being able to read. Reading is very, very important. This is something we learn in my master classes, is to spend the time, you know, if something is wrong, take the time, read, and most of the time you figure it out. This one is relatively simple. Attribute error, module BPY has no attribute camera. Okay. It's not as easy as it was in here. I think Maya has camera. Let's try this one. Yes. So see, I used the logic of Maya in Blender. Didn't work. Okay, I have no idea how to get to the camera. So for example, there's obviously multiple ways I can do certain things. If I'm more advanced, I can do something like deer or help or something like that. But that could be a little bit, yeah, I wouldn't do that generally. It's not particularly the fastest way, but in theory it is possible to do that. By the way, does this work? No, I have to press the button. Yeah, that's not helpful. No. Okay, so what I would do generally in a situation like this, this is not the one. This is the one. I would just look at it. So first thing, we can just randomly Google. I actually would not recommend to randomly Google. Google is full of forums and stuff, and there's full of like confusion. So avoid randomly Googling. I in generally would recommend, if you start to learn something new, avoid randomly Google at all. And if you do, for example, one of my master classes, we don't Google the first 5 weeks, because I want you to stay in the logic and in the simplicity of everything. So one of the keys that you can do if you learn any DCC is jump into, you can see here, the Blender Python API, the Houdini Python API, the Nuke Python API, Maya Python API. The only one that doesn't have a Python API is 3ds Max, of course. So let's try if we can figure... Ooh. just ask GPT. Yes, this is the last thing I would do. So one of the conversation we had previously is like, is it good idea to learn with GPT? I say no. I don't think it's a bad teacher in general, but I think GPT is a great teacher, or not great, maybe a little bit over, but I think GPT can be helpful as a teacher for an advanced level. I think if you're a beginner, GPT is too unreliable. It's constantly lying, it's constantly making shit up, it's constantly confused. So I would never ever recommend using ChatGPT as a pure beginner. Never. This is the worst idea you can have. It will go into wrong paths and so on. So yeah, it's not a great thing. But one of the things that we did when we did Python Copilot, which includes ChatGPT coding, it's great for code reviews. Like it's an additional eyes on your code to help you improve. So I think that's a fine thing. Like a secondary opinion, nice. Main source of information, no. Under Python console is echo command like in Maya, left downside. Oh, cool. It's good. It's good if you already know what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. So again, never ever use the Google freely as a beginner, and never ever use ChatGPT freely as a beginner. It will depress you. It will bring you into the wrong direction. It will confuse you. It will, just waste your time. So it's better to do things lava step by step, even if it's slower maybe, but at least your brain will learn this stuff. I definitely want to try this first, Nuke Pi, I think. This sounds great. I want... Why? Why is Blender not liking me? Maybe the cube. Maybe I should never delete the cube. The cube. This is not great for Blender so far. I'm not convinced. Why is it crashing so often? Okay, so what we do? Okay, first rule of the Fight Club in Blender, for Blender, is don't delete the cube. This is something we don't touch it. So if it crashes, it wasn't on purpose. Okay, so let's go back. So Blender just crashed in the background. I just didn't notice we were still in a live stream. So yeah, we didn't delete the cube. You can see it's still there. Everything's fine. Okay, let's dive in. So we're still in the situation that we want to create an object. Let's say we want to create a camera. I think that's obviously a cool thing to approach this, create camera. We know import BPY. Okay. Yeah, as I said, this will be a little bit slower than your usual course or something, but that's the idea, is to show behind the scenes how this approach. Okay, so what we did is we go to the Blender Python API, and here we just search for camera, and we can see here. So these are the things that can sometimes bite you. If you are not familiar with the software, I noticed when I was working with Houdini that all the plops and knobs and bobs and cops, they are very confusing if you're Houdini beginner. So you try to code in it, but if you don't know the terminology, sometimes it can be confusing. So for example, for me, I would be like asking, what is a camera operator? Is that an object and a node, or is that something different? Is that the regular camera, or is that a special camera, or just a kind of attribute or something like that? So I would not know in this particular case, but I would try, just see what it goes. There's a few comments. For your information, there are a lot of videos out there from official channels about scripting in Blender with Python. Oh yeah, awesome. Blender has this weird problem with crashing while scripting. I have no idea why. Yeah, I noticed that part. So yeah, I will definitely check them out. When I start working on the masterclass, I will definitely look at things. The approach is also one of the reasons that I'm doing this masterclass. I mean, one of the reasons I did Max is because literally there's no Max masterclass, Python for Max at all. But for Blender, it's also that I would like to, I explain it in a certain way and so on. So it's also, for me, important to do it this. So, okay, let's try this one. Is it? Ugh. It seems to be camera are operators. This is something we need to figure out if that's true or not. We have one camera, one cube, one light. This is not the button. What's the button? Alt P. Okay, so always, by the way, great thing for every software you ever do, especially Nuke, it's great for understanding the variable names. Hover over to get the tooltip. So in this case, I was wondering what's actually the execution of the... So this is one example. I will definitely not stay on Alt P. This is so weird. So again, Alt, Control B, Control Return, something. So let's try Alt P. Did it work? Oh yeah. Module object is not callable. How's this? Oh, this is a module. Okay, this is not it. So, welcome to, we have a few problems, we need to figure them out. So, okay, the question is, there's two levels of cameras here. What is the approach to create an object, camera, any object? Is it an operator or not? That is the question that I'm trying to figure out now, because I'm not familiar with Blender. I think the info tab shows you when you do anything inside Blender, and also turning on the Python tooltip helps with very useful. Okay, let's do that one. I think that you mentioned that one before. What was it? Under Python console, echo. Or is it here? Info. No, that's not it. Again, so wait a minute. In Outliner, orange is transform node and green is shape node, like in Maya. Yeah, I was thinking of that. So I was kind of wondering if this is the same structure idea as it is in Maya, that one is the transform and one is the shape. So this is just, you know, translate stuff, and this is actually the camera, which I always find slightly confusing, but okay. Yeah, seems to be the thing. But I want to figure out this Python tooltips are in the preference. Oh, okay. I thought it is. I was searching it here somewhere. Okay, see guys, this is something great. We figured this out together. Obviously, some people are already. Okay, let's look it up. Okay, interface to editor animation. I was expecting scripting part. Where's the scripting tab? Hello, where's scripting? Editing. Nope. Preferences where? I want the scripting tab. Where's the scripting tab? Under interface. Thank you. Language. Nope. Probably not Python. What? Oh. Yes, that wasn't purpose. Hopefully we have some Vietnamese watcher here, because hello. Okay, because I remember one time I switched a language of something, of a software, and I could not switch it back, and it was not something I could not like navigate at all. Okay, English. Yeah, great. Where is it? Python tooltips. Fantastic. So what does it do? Hover, show Python references in tooltips. So that's very helpful. Okay. This is, again, one of the cool parts about this. I would have to figure out exactly how this works, but it looks like if you see in the tooltip, you can see the first is the tooltip itself, but under it, in gray, is seemingly the Python code. It says, for example, for the Python tooltip, it says Python preference view dot show underscore tooltips underscore Python. If I understand this correctly, it's probably how I would trigger this specific tooltip via code, which is fantastic because, for example, I would not need it in this situation, but I would need this in a company. So let's say I want the whole company to have certain setups. One of this is the Python tooltip and resolutions and whatnot. This is how I would figure out how to switch on the tooltip by using this tooltip, basically. And then I can put this in the startup of Blender, and then everyone in the company who starts Blender, I will switch this on in the Python code, and then everyone in the company has, for example, the Python tooltips on. So that's one of the cool things. But yeah, I have to figure out how this works exactly. Okay, so I have the... Oh, did I have to save? First mistake, probably. Did it save? Yes, it saved. Okay, I don't need to save. So, what does that mean now? Would add a camera. Oh my god. Is that the camera? First thing, let's, absolute judgment here. It's too long. Absolutely too long. Like, what the F? Why is it so long? So I'm a big fan of, not this camera. This is my code. Okay. But let's look at what we had here. Okay, again, you don't have to be an expert for this. It's not important if you don't understand everything. What we just did, thanks to Xansuls, thanks to you, we found that there is an option to do something, like for example, we throw in a camera and we get the printout of the action via Python code. That's fantastic, meaning we can now do everything. Like, you know, we can throw in material, we can throw in a mesh, a cube, and we get the equivalent to that, which is great, which means we can just do stuff, collect all the pieces, and then build our code around it and just change the numbers, change how many cameras, the positions, whatever. And that's really, really fantastic. This is the best way. It's actually better than like Maya, if that is working. I'm just a little bit confused by the code. I'm not a coder, but I think the info tab shows any time you do something in Blender, like the Python code for it. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love this. This is called a listener in this case in Python approach. Yeah, I think so. Control A in viewport and add camera. Add camera. Don't see. But again, the idea is to combine these steps. Okay, so let's look at the code so we can figure out. It's super long. That's like crazy. Let's break it. Break. Okay. At least the editor is decent. Okay, so we have this code here. This is the camera that we created in the beginning. So we do BPY, which means let me maybe share this one. So I formatted a little bit. So we do BPY and Shift A. Shift A. Camera. Fantastic. We can add more. Okay, so let's look at the code. So this is our camera code. So let's look how this works, because basically if we understand how this works, we can just literally change this. Obviously, we can continue doing this for every object under the sun, or we just understand how the logic works of this camera creation and then just change the few variables, and then we can create everything with it. So let's look at it. First thing, we have the BPY. This is our API. This is our module that we use to access anything. So anything you want to do basically in Blender, you have to use BPY in the beginning. So BPY ops, this seems to be the operator, dot object dot instance data instance add. So we go deeper. So everything of this is either another module or a class or whatever, and the last one is the function that we want to call. Okay, so next one we have session UID. I have no idea what that is. Next one is a type, which is the camera. So meaning it looks like all the types are uppercase letter for things. So if we throw in a cube, the type is mesh here. So that's also really cool. So what we can do also in this case, for example, we break it down while we experiment in the background and can compare what's the difference between a camera and a mesh, so, or in this case, cube. Oh, so if you want to add a camera, we use type camera. If you want to add a cube, we use type mesh. Why not type cube? No one knows. So then we have the align world, probably kind of the world space. Then we have location, which is the coordinates here. The scale, perfect. Drop X and drop Y. Not 100% sure what that means. Is it related to the mouse position or maybe offset or something? Not sure about that part. So, because where I dropped it, maybe. But overall, if we want to redo this, let's try it. Okay, let's do a copy and see if we can do another camera on a different position. Let's do it simply. We do one at 0, 0, and 0. I don't know if the scale does anything for the camera. Maybe it's visually bigger. Let's change this one to 100, whatever that is. And the question is, what happens if we keep the session UID? I don't know if that is related to the camera or is related to the scene. Okay, let's execute and see what happens. Did it work? Yes. So we create a new camera, which is a 0, and the session UID didn't seem to create any issues. Oh. I have to bring in always this toggle system thing. Okay, yeah, it seems to be I don't really need this because everything I need is in this one more or less. I sometimes find it just a little bit confusing, to be honest. Can I do any? Select report, pen view, options. Okay. What's going on in the chat? I just saw it. Shift A. Oh, Shift A. Yeah, that's all. You are creating instances of existing camera and cube. BIOPS mesh primitive cubes add is for cube, for example. So I can. Oh, so I have different. So you're creating instance of an existing camera or cube. So if I use the same session UID, it will be an instance. So what is that? Is that something I have to change manually? Is that now a different camera? No, it doesn't work. This seems to be branded. The session UID seems to be very so if we have these questions, again, it depends what we are planning to do. We can also just look them up and see what data instance add is, if it's in the document. Oh yeah. And hopefully we get some information. See? We don't have to be, you know, unknowledgeable for forever. So session UID. Session UID of the data block to use for the documentation. But yeah, so this is definitely not great explanation. Also says optional, but if I remove it, or is part of it optional? Integer in, maybe this part is optional. Maybe that's the meaning. So this is obviously always a downside. If you are in an unfamiliar environment, you have to know the terminologies and the basic idea, like operators. What is this specifically? Sometimes you can use your Maya Houdini knowledge for that. Sometimes you just have to watch a Python Blender introduction. Like, for example, if I would dive into Blender more deeper in the future, one of the things I would definitely do is I would watch you know, a 2, 3, 4 hour Blender introduction course just to understand what is all the basic stuff, because that is very, very important to know for this one. But again, it's a big difference between you know, between just getting results and understanding everything deeply. So in this case, we are able to get results easily. We maybe just don't 100% understand every nooks and cranny. But this is a great approach, by the way, how you can approach this. If you don't know something, you at least can try to identify here. For example, alignment, he says, align of the new object world, align the new object to the world, align the new object to the view, use 3D cursor orientation for the new object. So that is what the align means. Okay, nice. So some of that can be actually super helpful. Some of it maybe less. But this is how we approach this. So what happens? What was this one before? So this is, it's always the same UID, but it's different for these two types, seems to me. Is it a new version or something? Oh, quickly, Q&A, what's going on there? You are creating instance of facing is for cube. Stream down for. Okay. Okay, hopefully this, yeah, I can see it's a little bit, hopefully it's not too bad. But I think it's okay still. Okay, so again, we should not forget our goals. So let's keep our goals in mind. Create and delete an object, a node. This could be also a camera, you know, it doesn't have to be only. This is horrible. Camera. Okay, let's do a cube, and then we can basically say for now this is on. What I would also do is so I just added camera here to the block. So what I would also do is I would do this kind of step-by-step movements, and I would write in the background notes about, hey, should investigate this part, should look into this part. You know, for example, how to get this information, what is operators, and so on. So while I'm doing things, especially in the beginning when I'm learning, I would probably put like questions notes. And after I finished, I would just spend some time just Googling everything and figuring things out. So it's no problem if you don't know all the things. It's as long as, like in this case, we set up to do a cube. We created a cube via Python. That's the goal. We should not ask more, but we find questions on the way. So we put them down, write them down, and look them out later. And in the future, we are smarter when we do more of it. Okay, so we are set up to do a cube. So let's do a cube. We just throw a cube in. We copy this code. Do I need to copy it again? No, yeah. And let's delete. I'm afraid to delete anything here. Last time I deleted anything was def. Delete, delete, delete. Okay. So we have this cube. Why cannot? How can I scroll? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. This is weird. That's not what I want. Sidebar, go away. Where is the horizontal scroll bar? Isn't there? Is there a horizontal scroll bar anywhere? Do I miss something? I need one. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. So what we do is basically the same thing as we do with the camera. We just have a different session ID. We still don't know what that is. We write this down on our question block, but the type is, instead of camera, it's mesh. All of them are in uppercase, align world. We have some random location, doesn't really matter. Scale 111. And oh yeah, did it say what it is actually in the drop X coordinate screen space to place the new object under screen space. So this sounds, if I'm reading this correctly, this sounds like the coordination where how is it related to the location? Can you try to add cube from the viewport toolbar and see what the Python output of that? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. From the toolbar, where do I do that? Or is that the toolbar here? Just doesn't. I have to throw it. Or do you mean somewhere? Oh, you mean toolbar here? See, as I said, this is on purpose. I literally didn't look this up, so I wanted you to see the original. Expected somewhere a cube here, but I cannot find add. This is what you mean with add. Add. That's it's mesh, but the meshes can be different. Oh, thanks. Cool. We did that. What does this mean here? So it takes me a moment. Be patient with me. I have to figure out how this works. This looks completely different. So when we do this from there, we do what someone... I saw this code before. Someone wrote this one. I don't remember who, but someone of you wrote this before. Really use Blender myself. I meant the add next to view, select add object. Yeah, but we just get this different one. So like in most DCCs, there are multiple ways to do the same thing. You can do add a cube via pyops object data instance add. We can also do pyops mash primitive cube add. And then you can see also the input is slightly different. There's certain things that they are adjusted here. So we don't have to do the ID stuff, and we don't have to do the type because the type is already here. So yeah, it really depends on something. Like, you know, for example, in Maya, you can do something like this, but you can also do cmds.create node. And then I think it should be this, if I'm mistaken. Yes. So this is the general way, and this is the specific way. It sometimes can be slightly different. You know, obviously here you will put arguments for the camera. Here I think you can do some arguments or all of them, but you need to do them as additionally arguments to that. So it can be a little bit different in the end. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one, whichever works. It seems to be both work. Okay, so we basically figured out how to create something. So we do the action, we look at the printout, we take this and then adjust that. Obviously we can do, you know, for let's say, is there for index in range 10, why is it? If I double, triple, quadruple click, I would expect to select the whole line. It doesn't do that. Can I? Is there a trick? No. That's okay. This way. Yeah, whatever. So this would be obviously something we need. Yeah. So now we can combine this with our Python knowledge. So if you're not familiar with basic Python, obviously this is something a little bit more advanced, but this is a simple loop. So we say, let's create 10 of whatever here is. So we just created 10 cubes, and you can see here, yup. And that's the cool part. And obviously we can now create the 10 cubes and, you know, change the location at the same time, random, calculated, whatever. And boom, bada bim, we suddenly have these like 10 cubes flying around in the scene here. Cool. If you ever want your editor to be full screen, do Control spacebar and you can scroll horizontal by middle mouse dragging. Okay, Control spacebar. Ah, cool tip. Nice. Yeah, I was expecting it to be, I saw this one somewhere. Somewhere full screen. Is that? Oh, this is just for, this is full screen of, oh yeah, just kills the top bar, whatever. I saw the full screen somewhere for sure. Just not sure where I saw it. Zoom in, toggle, Control Alt spacebar. Ah. Okay, so, oh, nope. Alt spacebar and Control Alt spacebar. Nice. Good to know. Yep. All the things that you figure out like step by step, but again, in the beginning not super important, but over time this could be very important. You know, just distraction free or whatever. I think the most important thing in the beginning is to have a decent layout that you can see everything. Obviously, see the script editor. I would always want to see the viewport, see at least the output console, whatever, and see the outliner. Usually, that's the most important thing. Everything else, at least for now, not as important. So that's a good setup for now, and then we can scale up when necessary to do more. Okay, that's it. We not only created 1 cube, we created 10 cubes. So that's cool. We made this work. Import and export objects is the next one. Let's look at that one. So this is obviously very, very important, is to get objects out and into the scene. The question is how we do that. Export, Alembic, like say this one, and we go into a test scene in the background. Let me quickly make a test scene. Blender. Okay, we do here a test scene and do cube. The rest is like something very simple. This is the same what you have in every selection only. For example, we only want to use the cube. I think that's fine. Oh. I miss it. Context, data space, parameter, file name, ABC. So this is again what happened here just now. So if I press this, the cube is there. Let's say another one. Oh, what was? This is not very clear to me what happens here specifically. So it does something when I open that. It says something bpy context dot space data param file name equals cube abc cube 2 abc. So this looks like it is how we open a window. I mean, that's also really cool. Let's try things out. Why is there a dot? Okay, weird. Let's see what happens. Invalid syntax, yeah. That's not the code that we... Window manager, wingman. Good question, what happens here? If you have any ideas, let me know. I'm also swimming. This is the code from before, not important. Okay, I thought this one would open the export, but yeah, it just says Windman, so I don't know if that's what that related to. So if I save this selection only in this folder, I press export and then it does this, and I press it's confusing. Okay, let's look what's going on in this folder. Is it already in there? 1 second. No, it's not. So okay, the first press doesn't do anything. The second press, okay, creates it. Okay, let's try drag and drop or drop import. That doesn't give me a printout. That's sad. So I was hoping we will get one. Sadly, we don't. We are snapped from that. Okay, let's clean up the scene first. Let's try it again and see what happens if we... Oops. What happens here? Nothing. What happens here? We get the options. Okay, whatever. We add it, but we don't get a printout. No. Okay, so that means that's not as intuitive. What happens if we do import? Maybe sometimes it can be different. Also, no printout. Okay, that means yes. Actually, in Maya, there is echo all commands thing, which often does too much. You know, if you do here, you can see it gives me a lot of stuff. So maybe there is something like this in Blender, maybe. But if, again, this is the first approach. If it doesn't work, I would always go back to reading. Import, export doesn't matter. BPY ops VM alembic export. What I have struggled at the moment in the beginning is the logic, how it's breaking down. Like, okay, BPY ops, okay, operators. What is WM? Is it this win? I saw there was this like Winman. This seems to be a very important thing here going on. Winman, whatever that is. Again, this could be like related to these Winman. Here is it. Okay, let's dive into documentation. Welcome, guys. Import scene. Hello. Where is this? File path. FPX, note FPX. Nope. ABC. Huh, that's not what I want. Open Blender with the console. I don't know if Blender is a... I have to get the path probably. Or is what's the or does Blender add a command for the path? Not sure. Is it uppercase Blender maybe? No. Okay, we can try this, but first I need to find the Blender path so I can open it, because I have no idea how to open Blender. Is it? No. Let's see if I can find it in the Blender open file location. Probably this one. Let's see. We're trying different things here. Maybe the launcher is not a good idea, because it doesn't do... No, that doesn't work. Let's see if we just open the X. That could be the thing. Okay. Oh. Yeah, this is always weird. If it doesn't recognize your paths in this, this is a thing we need to learn in when we do shell spaces and backslashes and stuff. Especially spaces are always a little bit of a dangerous. Oh yeah. So here I can, if I delete something like the cube, I will see that here. But if I do import Blender. Yeah, it just gives me the echo stuff. It doesn't give me the Python information here. Yeah, so not from what I see, it's not helpful if there's no tag we can add to the opening. Maybe there's something minus, I don't know, echo that could be helpful here, but for so far this is not helpful, sadly. So this looked like it, but it's FPX. Nope. Import ABC. Yep. So yeah, hopefully you guys still here. It's not too slow, too long, but that's how reality of things like this work. It's not something you rush. Import ABC. So far the search is not the greatest, I have to say. Here. Okay, we have to. Let's go to Google this time. Import ABC. And yeah, quick tip about Googling: if you want to Google better, always make sure that you follow the keyword aspect. So always do, what is the software? Usually I would say Blender, Python. What is the scripting language? And then the keywords of what you're searching for. Oftentimes this is much better. And be very, very careful with whatever. What's the name of the AI for Google? So many of them. Be careful what is written here. Oftentimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's right, but yeah, sometimes just be aware that don't trust this. I had a few times where this was completely wrong. So yeah, but also obviously if you are in a forum like this, same thing. It's not always right. So, but you can always try what is writing here, and we can just see if this will work and see what will happen. A try you can always do. So path, we need to figure that one out. It's Blender Cube. Can I do the path here like this? No. Let's do path. The Blender. Okay, and then cube free ABC. Very careful with backslashes. These are escape characters. So it's apparently by ops VM Alembic import. Didn't I see that one? Some of you think wrote something familiar. Kind of remember. Alembic export. Oh yeah. Nukepi, you already kind of wrote this. Okay, I kind of missed that part on the execution. Okay, let's try it. If that works, let's kill everything else besides. Oop. Hello. Kill. Okay. And if it works, we should have added a new cube. It doesn't work. What's the issue? So first thing, there's a lot of garbage. Let's remove. I cannot do the double click to collect the whole line. Which is, okay, so what's the problem here? Red. Okay, let's do forward slashes everywhere just to be safe. Converting pi arcs to operator properties, keyword axis forward unrecognized. Oh, okay. This is the thing. Axis up. Okay. This sounds like this conversion stuff that we normally use. Oh, Gemini, yes. I love pasting in Gemini, generate code suggestion, and watching the... Yeah, it's horrible. Like, what is this? Like, it's already not working. But it seems to be the idea that NukePy had with the export is the same with the import. It's BPY, OPS, VM, Alembic import, Alembic export. But let's remove as much trash as we can and see if one of them then finally... Yes, now it works. So the one seems to be the kind of the space coordination type conversion, which if we are exporting in Blender, we don't need that, from what I understand. But yeah, it works. So meaning to import, in this case, Alembic, we do this, have a file name, we can add, I probably don't need the scale, pretty sure. And that's it. So this is the line that we need to do our job. Let's double check without the scale, fine. Okay, quickly do a check for export file path 4. This will probably export everything, but we can try. File export. Let's try this one. Let's see. Okay. Worked. Something. It's also bigger. One kilobyte bigger. So let's do an import and let's delete. This is dangerous. No, not this one. What? Why is it? This is okay. And let's execute this one. Works. Awesome. So yeah, if you want to do Alembic import export, we just do this line, Alembic import or Alembic export, and boom, bada bim. So that is really, really important. Obviously, you know, you want moving things around and stuff like that. It's one of the most important parts of scripting with Python. It will. I love the. Is there a way to open the docs for a specific function like in Houdini with F1? That's a good question. Not that I can see. Probably. Often there is something that we just don't know yet. Maybe in help. Yeah, it's always different in different software. To be fair, what is this? Just search. Open shading language, Blender manifest. Yeah, okay. Okay. How? Ah, okay. Phew. So our file is here. Okay, good to know. Yeah, tried a few things. Don't look like it, but I would not say no. Like I'm live edit. Okay, there's a few things I'm not sure what they mean. But yeah, I would definitely see if there is maybe a preference or something for this kind of stuff. Or there's maybe a shortcut to open something in Maya. Bringing up this one, there is, what was it? There is this help thing. Is it search? No, where is it? Find menu. Python. Where is these? No, this is opens a random. No, there is these. Where is it again? Use tab for indent, show tab and spaces, auto command. You can use command completion. This can be helpful. Show tooltip help. No. This could be not this what I'm looking for. Show quick help. Ah, yeah, quick help. This was what I was searching for. So there is the quick help. So I don't know. You search for delete. It shows you the function, and then it shows you. I cannot zoom this in. Then it shows you all the parameters that you can add. In this case, I think it's only Mel related, but if it works with Mel, it generally works with Python. So if we do this, is it all true or something? Ah, yeah, and we can also have these pop-up. I think this was one of the pop-ups that I added by previously. So if we do delete, we can do, is it delete? This is, no, I want to pop up for this. Okay. Will this work? The ill is not supported. It's not supported anymore. Great. Why is it still here? Is it? Oh, I think delete all. Is that delete all usually? No. Yeah. Maybe not 100% there. Okay. Yeah, this is a good question. I would definitely put this kind of on the site, and you know, if you would experiment, I would write this question down and see where like later to kind of like fill out the blanks basically. And I would always separate, you know, you should not always stop because you have a question. You should focus on what you plan to do, and then just after you finished, if it's not in the way of your progress, you can always like figure out, Google the question later and figure out what how to do certain things, how to find certain help pop-ups, help tooltips, and so on. Sir, how to import Maya rig characters in Blender using Python and animated in Blender? I mean, the question is in this is not really kind of a Python question. So the question is more of how do you do it? Which is the data format you want to use? FBX I saw. Is that a good one for rigs? What else is there? Obviously USD, if you are familiar with that one. Experimental. Okay. I mean, FBX is probably the most standard thing, but you have to check it out if it converts. But this is the, you know, the Maya format, I would say. So if it works, whatever works actually. Oh, there's two FBX. Why? Okay. Yeah, so at the end of the day, what you need to do is first you need to figure out which is the format that preserves the most information, and in this case, are the rotations, you know, the world space the same, or do you need, as we saw just recently, maybe Z is different, I'm not sure. Is it up? Here it's up. Where is it? Ugh. Perspective. This is top. Is it? God, it's so small. So these are the things that rabbit holes. Yeah. So these are the things that I would first look into, and then obviously then you can use Python to do this, write a script to import FBX, USD, and then set certain things like coordinations and so on. And that thing, for example, the script you can build by slowly doing the manual work, figuring out what are the setups, informations, and the one you need. You build your function, and then you just build a script around that. But you need to do two things. First, you need to find what is the best manual approach from getting your rig from Maya to Blender, meaning what format, what are the settings, what works the best, what is the thing. You don't need Python for that. When you figure that out, when you figure out what is, you know, import, let's say USD, and then you figure that stuff out, you figure this part out here on the right side, here probably rigging, if you need the shape keys or amateurs and whatever, and then you import, and it, after tweaking, it works fine. Then you break this step down into, as we just learned, you know, FBX import, USD import, and then add all the information here. And then you can build a script around it where you can import from certain locations, select a certain rig, and just import that in a drop-down list, and so on. So that are the things that you can do here. So it's basically a few steps in the future, I would say. For now, we definitely focus more on just making it work. But yeah, never underestimate how much manual pre-work you have to do before you should coding, because yeah, you should first figure things out manually. If you know how it works manually, then basically you can start to automate it. Yeah, easy to jump into UI rabbit holes. Nice to see this in Maya. Didn't know about that. Awesome. Yeah, basically we achieved that one, and I think that is also where I would keep it for today. I think that's already great goal we achieved so far. I think after close to 2 hours, we got where we wanted more or less. What the things that I would, for example, also do. So, for example, when we do Python for Maya, Houdini, Nuke, Max, and Blender, on the first week we covered this. It's week 6. We do all of these obviously in more depth, for example, but also, for example, things that I believe are key elements that are important is we need also to that the audio just broke. So just, I'm not sure where I lost you, but let me quickly. Oh yeah, so on week 8, for example, like after you go deeper and looked into how to set up Blender, like starting, how to manipulate, how to create menus, and so on. One of the things that I feel like is one of the last things for a basic understanding of coding in Blender and any software is, for example, how to have a UI, because the UI is the interaction with your code. And for example, with the example of the rigging, you can basically do the same thing. You figure out how to manually bring the rig from Maya to Blender. That's the first thing. What's the setup? What's the settings? How it works? Then you write a code for that. And the last step is if it's necessary, you make a UI that you have maybe a drop-down list where you can select certain rigs or paths or whatever, and then you import that and it's going. So you simplify it for the artists so they don't have to use code. So that's like the 3 steps that I would say in general you need to learn. So this is step 1 plus 1, 2, 3 other points that I would recommend as a base. You really need to know this stuff before you can do anything. Second level is to dive deeper and learn about startups, menus, and stuff like that. That's what we do. And then third step is how to use PySite, probably how to create UI. That's the package that we always focus on, basically when we teach Python for any software, including Python for Blender. So that is the key here. If you guys are interested and to learn that, you're welcome to join our Python for Blender. We will do this in January. This is something I'll be working on. So the idea of this was, first thing, I wanted to try this out live. I thought it was a cool idea to work with you. Also super helpful. Thank you everyone who gave their background knowledge and advice and ideas. I think that's really cool. It really helped me to go through this. Also more fun, honestly. So I purposefully didn't look into Blender. I purposefully didn't touch anything. I wanted you to see how this looks like if someone who has an understanding of Python in DCCs but never in Blender would approach it. But I also wanted to see that it is not smooth. It is bumpy. You have blockages constantly. But at the same time, as you can see, we went through it relatively smoothly. Like we had a few roadblocks, but at the end we achieved everything we wanted. So, you know, if we wanted this, we did it. We wanted this, we did it. And then on the way there, we just constantly problem solved and figured things out. So yeah, so that was the idea, but I also want to make a course out of it because I believe there, you can dive deeper. I need to look into certain settings and stuff like that. So this is the plan for me. This will be coming out in January. I'll be working on that in the next few months, looking into all of the depth of it, especially great for people who don't know Python, because the first 5 weeks we learn Python, and then the last 3 weeks we learn Blender, and then last 2 weeks we make a Blender application. So if you're always interested in learning Python, especially in this case Blender, or you're welcome to join our Python for Maya, Python for Nuke, Python for 3ds Max, Python for Houdini. We have it all. You're welcome to join us. But I also wanted you to show that it is not mystery how to code. Like, even if you're not familiar with Blender, like we have a few students here that joined previous master classes, I'm pretty sure you saw that it's like, yeah, okay, it's not crazily different to Maya, or not crazily different to Max or Nuke or Houdini. It takes some time, and you need to understand the terminology of Blender. But if you understand the basics of Python, after a few hours or our course, you will be able to code in Blender no problem at the end of the day. So that is the thing. First thing I wanted to show you how this works, but I also want to unmystify the approach that some people are, such a genius coders and they just understand things from osmosis. It's not like that. People need some time to set things up. People need some time to learn, and you experiment, and most of the time you don't see how much effort people put into figuring things out, and then you always see only the result, and that can sometimes feel intimidating. At the end of the day, Python is a language like every language. You can learn a language, and Blender is just a software that has a few quirks, but at the end of the day, it's the same Python that I would use if I code in Maya or Houdini or Max or Nuke. So nothing too crazy. You're welcome to join us if you're interested to learn Python. Also, we have Python advanced courses, and we open also job application coaching. I'm currently working also on a job application course, so you can know how to do a CV, showreel, social media, cover letter, and so on. But we also do it coaching. One of the key aspects that we do it also is we do with live Q&A and assignments and assignment feedback. So it's not just videos. We actually learn together in a group. There is a Discord as well. So you will watch the videos, you learn the topics, but you will have a deadline. We meet each week. So we talk about, in this case, Python for Blender, but also the other one. You will have the opportunity to ask questions. You will upload your assignments, and then I give you a personal feedback for your video, because I think the best way to learn any new skill is to be able to ask questions, be able to do assignments, practical assignments, and be able to get feedback on your assignments, and not just in the void. So that is the approach that we're doing. So you're welcome to join us. The next cohort will be in January, but you can join anytime and start learning. And I think that will also open a lot of doors if you're interested in going into the role of a technical artist, technical director, or developer in visual effects, animation, and games. I think Python is the gateway into all of that. You're also welcome to join our newsletter. We have a newsletter we do every week, every 2 weeks. That is also connected to the TD Meetup. So we do every month on this channel. From now on, we will do the live TD Meetup. So this will be next week, actually. Next week will be a TD Meetup about technical director, same time, Thursday. And in the future, we will do every month TD Meetup as we did the last 2 years. Live here, we will do more Python live like this, different topics. I have already one video I'm planning to do about menus in Python for Max, but we will cover different elements depending on what you guys need. And I'm planning, as I mentioned in the beginning, to do maybe a stream about mentoring, career mentoring, TD mentoring, code mentoring, whatever. We will make this up. But yeah, if you're interested, alexanderrichtertd.com/newsletter. Subscribe to that for getting all the news, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, obviously. That is the thing. Okay. Any final questions you guys have? Anything you would like to ask, or any comments or something like that before we wrap this up? We kind of cut a little bit the end because I also think we would probably add at least an hour. I was a little bit ambitious, I would say, at the end when I wrote the to-do list. This one, I think I was kind of not sure if we get to the last point, but yeah, I think it would add like an hour maybe to that. So yeah, but these are things, you know, if you understand the system that we just explored, we can figure that out also. And yeah, so also the difference, for example, when I do the masterclass, I would obviously look into Blender more deeply. I would try to understand how this works, what operators are, and what I mentioned in the beginning, answer the questions before I explain it to you guys, obviously. But at the end of the day, my approach is always from a technical artist, technical director side. I don't have to be an expert in the software to code in that. And that's also impossible in most cases. You cannot know all the software as much as as an artist who is working on it like 8 hours per day. That's very rare. If you cover like 5 software, you cannot be an expert in all of them. That doesn't really matter. What matters is, can you write tools, help fix issues in the software? That's it. So if especially on a technical directing side, or even depending on what you do, so it's more important that you are able to perform in your role than you know every button, every name, and every whatever at the end of the day. Thanks for going through with us. Yeah, thanks Wish for being with us. Thanks Alex. Great. Awesome. Yeah, seems to be that's it. We probably have lost you lost 3 minutes of my monologue in between. I will have to rewatch this. This was our very first stream. It was cool. It was didn't seem like the most disastrous thing happened, besides a quick audio cut in somewhere at the end, but overall looks fine. Let me rewatch it and see how it's going down. But I want to thank you everyone who was joining here, also the people especially who helped me a little bit navigate through Blender. Really cool. I really love this. This is one of the reasons I want to do the live stream, and this is one of the reasons I want to continue doing the live stream in the future. We obviously still learning. There will be a few things we will improve over time. I'm trying to get to a certain flow. Let us know what you liked and what you didn't like about this kind of stuff. Feel free to reach out to me, because we want to also figure out was this great of being live? Was it a little bit too slow? Should we speed it up, be a little bit more prepared, or is this like kind of blind coding more interesting? Because we definitely want to also do this in the future for Python for Pipeline, looking into Plex maybe and stuff like that. So yeah, it would be interesting. I always work with senior level user of a software I'm developing tools for, so I can work with them on the more technical aspect of the application and methodologies. Yes. It's always like, it's always good if you do learn something like Python and you are able to connect with people. I always say the best way to learn scripting is to get code reviews from people who are more knowledgeable than you. That's one of the many reasons we give feedback in the masterclass, because getting feedback on your code teaches you so much that will take much longer if you would just do it yourself. So I think that's always an important thing. So whatever skill you learn, you should always learn it with a mentor. I just believe that is the most important, the fastest, the frictionless, the best way. And never for the next, let's say 10-20 years, let the mentor be ChatGPT. I would not recommend it. It's too dangerous for now. There is a place for ChatGPT and all the Geminis and whatever, but as we learned in our Google session, as we learned here, the place is not correct code. So yeah, this is not working, at least. So yeah, that is a little bit of the thing where we come into dangerous territory. So be careful learning with ChatGPT or any AI system. I would only use it more as a supporter, as an intern helping you when you know more about things. I would use it as a second Google, basically Google 2.0. That's why I call it. That is probably more helpful than using it as a teacher, or using it as give me the solution machine. I just feel like this is not really what is currently capable of, basically. But you can, as we find out with GitHub Copilot, you can use AI as an assistant. Have someone code review, explain certain elements to you, but just don't over rely on it. And especially in education, I would probably search for good mentors, good courses, much more helpful than some ChatGPT trying to, break down a curriculum for you in some shape or form, basically. Okay, thank you everyone. That was our first Python stream. First time for everything. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you're welcome to come back. Again, next week we'll do our TD meetup, same time as today. So feel free to subscribe to the channel. And we do TD meetup every month, but we will start to add on Thursdays also a bunch of streams like mentoring and Python. So check it out, and that we have this more regularly. And then over the next few weeks and months, we will start to tweak the streams so we find the best way. What would be the best way? Is it more freestyle? Is it more organized? So we try to figure out what works best for you. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night, good day, depending on time zone you have. And I'll be looking forward to see you back in our next Python stream, TD meetup, mentoring we have here. Bye-bye. This website is here to share my experience, to take you along with me, and to give you an opportunity for a great career. Here you can find my blog with exciting articles about the industry, great masterclasses, and personal coaching that will bring you to the next level. My YouTube channel handles topics about a career in the film and games industry, being a technical director, and professional scripter. I'm also hosting the 21 Artist Show, which is a visual podcast that inspires creatives to make meaningful content to pursue their passions. Finally, subscribe to my newsletter to get industry insights and updates to new content. That's it from me. See you on the next video.